Maya Washington hurried down the busy sidewalk of downtown Chicago, her worn sneakers slapping against the wet pavement. The October rain had started again, and she pulled her thin jacket tighter around her shoulders. She was already 20 minutes late for her second job at the diner, and her supervisor had warned her about punctuality just last week. At 28 years old, Maya worked 3 jobs to make ends meet. During the day, she cleaned office buildings downtown. In the evenings, she waited tables at Joe's Diner on the South Side. On weekends, she babysat for neighbors in her apartment complex. Despite all this work, she barely had enough money to pay rent, buy groceries, and send a little help to her mother who lived in a nursing home across town. Maya had grown up in Chicago's Englewood neighborhood. Her father left when she was 7, and her mother worked double shifts as a nurse to support them both. Maya had been a good student and dreamed of going to college, but when her mother had a stroke during Maya's senior year of high school, everything changed. Maya had to work full-time to help with medical bills and care for her mother. Now, 10 years later, Maya still carried those dreams of a better life, but they seemed further away than ever. She had tried to take evening classes at the community college, but between her jobs and visiting her mother, there was never enough time or money to continue. As Maya rushed down Michigan Avenue, she noticed the usual crowd of business people in expensive suits talking on their phones. She often wondered what it would be like to have just one good job that paid enough to live comfortably. She dreamed of having health insurance, taking vacations, maybe even saving money for the future. The rain was getting heavier, and Maya ducked under the awning of a fancy hotel to wait for it to slow down. She checked her phone. She was now 30 minutes late. Her supervisor, Mrs. Peterson, would not be happy. Maya had already used up her sick days when her mother had pneumonia last month, and she couldn't afford to lose this job. Just as Maya was about to brave the rain again, she heard shouting from across the street. A man in an expensive suit was stumbling along the sidewalk, clearly in distress. He was clutching his chest and looked like he was having trouble breathing. People were walking past him, assuming he was drunk or on drugs. In a city like Chicago, people had learned to mind their own business. But something about the man's face made Maya stop. She had worked as a nursing assistant before her current jobs, helping her mother's colleagues when they needed extra hands. She recognized the signs of a medical emergency when she saw them. The man collapsed against a building, sliding down the brick wall to sit on the wet sidewalk. His face was gray, and sweat was pouring down his forehead despite the cool weather. Maya looked around, hoping someone else would help, but the crowd of pedestrians continued to walk by, many of them crossing to the other side of the street to avoid the situation. Maya made a decision that would change her life forever. She ran across the street, dodging cars and ignoring the honking horns. Her nursing assistant training kicked in as she knelt beside the man. "Sir, can you hear me?" she asked, checking his pulse. It was weak and irregular. "What's your name?" The man tried to speak, but could only whisper. "Robert, chest, can't breathe." Maya immediately recognized the symptoms of a heart attack. She had seen it before when working with elderly patients. She pulled out her phone and called 911, giving the dispatcher their exact location and describing the man's symptoms in medical terms she had learned during her training. While waiting for the ambulance, Maya loosened the man's tie and helped him sit in a more comfortable position. She talked to him continuously, keeping him conscious and alert. She learned that his name was Robert Chun and that he was 62 years old. He had been walking to an important business meeting when the chest pain started. "My briefcase," Robert whispered. "Important papers." Maya looked around and saw an expensive leather briefcase lying a few feet away where Robert had dropped it. She brought it closer to him. "Don't worry about that right now, Mr. Chun. Just focus on breathing slowly and staying calm." The ambulance arrived within 8 minutes, and Maya gave the paramedics a detailed report of Robert's symptoms and the care she had provided. They were impressed with her knowledge and quick thinking. As they loaded Robert onto a stretcher, he grabbed Maya's hand. "Thank you," he said weakly. "You saved my life." "What's your name?" "Maya Washington," she replied. "Just get better, okay?" As the ambulance drove away, Maya realized she was soaked from the rain and shivering from both cold and adrenaline. She also realized she was now over an hour late for work. She hurried to the diner, knowing she would face consequences for her absence. Mrs. Peterson was waiting for her when she arrived. "Maya, this is the third time this month you've been late. I'm sorry, but I have to let you go. I need reliable employees." Maya tried to explain what had happened, but Mrs. Peterson had already made up her mind. She handed Maya her final paycheck and told her to collect her things. Maya felt her world crashing down around her. Without this job, she wouldn't be able to pay rent or help with her mother's care. That night, Maya sat in her small apartment, looking at the bills piled on her kitchen table. She had enough money for maybe 2 more weeks of rent, and her mother's nursing home payment was due soon. She had spent years working hard and trying to do the right thing, but it seemed like life kept pushing her down. She thought about Robert Chun and wondered if he was okay. She hoped the doctors had been able to help him and that he would make a full recovery. At least something good had come from her terrible day. She had saved a man's life. Maya didn't know that Robert Chun was not just any businessman. He was the founder and CEO of Chun Technologies, a company that had started in his garage 20 years ago and was now worth billions of dollars. Robert had built his fortune by creating innovative software that helped hospitals manage patient care more efficiently. More importantly, Robert Chun never forgot the people who helped him. He had grown up poor himself, the son of immigrants who had worked multiple jobs to support their family. He remembered what it was like to struggle financially and to feel like the world was against you. The next morning, Maya woke up to her phone ringing. The caller ID showed a number she didn't recognize. "Hello, is this Maya Washington?" asked a professional-sounding woman. "Yes, this is Maya. My name is Sarah Kim, and I work for Chun Technologies. I'm calling on behalf of Robert Chun. He asked me to find you and express his gratitude for what you did yesterday. He's recovering well, and the doctors said your quick action and medical knowledge saved his life." Maya was surprised to receive the call. "I'm just glad he's okay. I did what anyone would do." "Actually, Maya, that's not true. Dozens of people walked past Mr. Chin yesterday, but you were the only one who stopped to help. He would like to meet with you in person to thank you properly. Would you be available to come to his office today?" Maya hesitated. She needed to spend the day looking for a new job to replace the one she had lost. But something in Sarah's voice made her curious. "I suppose I could come by for a few minutes." Sarah gave her the address of Chun Technologies, which was located in one of the most expensive office buildings in downtown Chicago. Maya had cleaned offices in that building before and knew how impressive it was. Maya spent an hour getting ready, choosing her best outfit, a simple black dress she had bought for job interviews. She took the bus downtown, unable to afford the train fare, and arrived at the gleaming office tower. The lobby of Chun Technologies took Maya's breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered stunning views of the city, and the modern furniture looked like it belonged in a magazine. Maya approached the reception desk nervously. "I'm Maya Washington. I have an appointment with Mr. Chun." The receptionist smiled warmly. "Yes, we've been expecting you. Mr. Chun is so grateful for what you did. Please take the express elevator to the 45th floor." As Maya rode the elevator up, she wondered what kind of thank you she could expect. Maybe a gift card to a restaurant or a small cash reward. She certainly wasn't expecting what she found when the elevator doors opened. Sarah Kim was waiting for her, a well-dressed Asian woman in her 30s with a warm smile. "Maya, it's so nice to meet you. Mr. Chun is excited to see you, but first, he wanted me to tell you a little about what you did yesterday." Sarah led Maya through offices filled with people working at computers, creating the kind of technology Maya could barely understand. They stopped in a conference room with windows overlooking the city. "Maya, do you realize that the man you saved yesterday employs over 5,000 people? His company's software is used in hospitals around the world, helping doctors save lives every day. When you saved Robert Chun, you potentially saved thousands of future patients who will benefit from his work." Maya was stunned. She had no idea the man she helped was so important. "I just saw someone who needed help," she said quietly. "And that's exactly why Mr. Chun wants to meet you," Sarah replied. In his experience, truly good people are rare. He's learned that technical skills can be taught, but character cannot. "Come on, let's go see him." They walked to the end of the hall, where large double doors opened into the most impressive office Maya had ever seen. Behind a massive desk sat Robert Chun, looking much better than he had the day before. He was wearing a crisp white shirt and navy suit, and his color had returned to normal. Robert stood up when Maya entered, a huge smile on his face. "Maya Washington, the woman who saved my life. Please, come sit down." Maya sat in one of the leather chairs across from his desk, feeling completely out of place but trying to maintain her composure. "I'm glad you're feeling better, Mr. Chun. You really scared me yesterday. You have every right to be scared. The doctors told me I had a massive heart attack. If you hadn't recognized the symptoms and called for help when you did, I would have died on that sidewalk." Robert's voice was serious and grateful. "I worked as a nursing assistant for a while, so I knew what to look for. Anyone with that training would have done the same thing." Robert shook his head. "Maya, I've done some research on you since yesterday. I know about your 3 jobs, your mother in the nursing home, and how hard you work to make ends meet. I also know you lost your job at the diner yesterday because you were late helping me." Maya felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. She didn't like people knowing about her financial struggles. "That's not your fault, Mr. Chun. I was already having problems with being late." "Maybe so, but I feel responsible. More than that, I'm impressed. Do you know what I was thinking about when you were helping me yesterday?" Maya shook her head. "I was thinking about how you could have walked past me like everyone else did. You were clearly in a hurry, probably late for something important. But you stopped anyway. You got down on your knees on a wet, dirty sidewalk to help a stranger. That tells me everything I need to know about your character." Robert stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city below. "Maya, I built this company from nothing. 20 years ago, I was an immigrant working 3 jobs just like you are now. I know what it's like to struggle, to feel like no matter how hard you work, you can't get ahead." He turned back to face her. "The difference between then and now is that I had opportunities. People believed in me and gave me chances to prove myself. I want to give you that same opportunity." Maya's heart started beating faster. She had no idea what he was about to offer, but something in his tone suggested it was going to be life-changing. "I'd like to offer you a job here at Chin Technologies. I need someone I can trust completely, someone with your character and work ethic. The position would be as my personal assistant to start, but with opportunities for growth and advancement." Maya stared at him in shock. "Mr. Chun, I don't have experience working in an office like this. I clean offices, I don't work in them. Experience can be taught, Maya. Character cannot. I'll provide you with any training you need. The starting salary would be $75,000 per year, with full health benefits, paid vacation, and a retirement plan." Maya's mouth fell open. $75,000 was more than she made in a year working all 3 of her jobs combined. It was more money than she had ever dreamed of earning. I don't know what to say," Maya stammered. "Say yes," Robert replied with a smile. "Give yourself a chance at the life you deserve." Maya thought about her mother in the nursing home, about the bills on Maya's first day at Chun Technologies arrived faster than she expected. Over the weekend, she had visited her mother at the nursing home to share the incredible news. Her mother, despite her limited speech since the stroke, had tears of joy in her eyes when Maya told her about the job opportunity. "Baby girl," her mother managed to say, "you always had a good heart. Now someone finally sees it." Maya had also used some of her last paycheck to buy professional clothes from a discount store. She wanted to look the part, even if she felt like an imposter walking into the gleaming office building that Monday morning. Sarah Kim met Maya in the lobby at 8 o'clock sharp. "Ready for your first day?" she asked with an encouraging smile. "As ready as I can be," Maya replied, though her stomach was full of butterflies. Sarah led her to a beautiful office right next to Robert Chen's corner suite. The space was larger than Maya's entire apartment, with a modern desk, comfortable chairs, and the same stunning city views she had admired during her interview. "This is your office," Sarah announced. Robert believes in giving his team the resources they need to succeed. Maya stared at the nameplate on the desk that read, "Maya Washington, Executive Assistant." She had never had her own office before, never had a nameplate with her name on it. "The first few weeks will be about learning," Sarah explained. "Robert wants you to understand how the company works, what we do, and how you can best support his mission. I'll be your mentor during this transition." Maya spent her morning in orientation meetings, learning about Chun Technologies' history and mission. The company developed software that helped hospitals manage everything from patient records to medication tracking. Robert had started the business after his own father had died due to a preventable medical error caused by poor record-keeping. Our technology has helped prevent thousands of medical errors, explained David Torres, the head of product development. When Robert talks about saving lives, he's not exaggerating. Every piece of software we create has the potential to help doctors make better decisions. Maya was amazed to learn that the company had clients all over the world. Hospitals in over 30 countries used Chun Technologies software to provide better patient care. She began to understand that Robert Chun wasn't just a successful businessman. He was someone who had turned personal tragedy into a mission to help others. During her lunch break, Maya called her mother's nurse to check in. For the first time in years, she wasn't worried about the monthly payment for her mother's care. Her new salary meant she could not only cover the costs, but also afford some of the extra therapies that might help her mother's recovery. The afternoon brought Maya's first real test. Robert had a video conference with hospital administrators in London, and Maya was responsible for setting up the meeting and taking notes. She had never used the sophisticated video equipment before, but Sarah patiently showed her how everything worked. "Don't be afraid to ask questions," Sarah advised. "Everyone here wants you to succeed." The conference call went smoothly, and Maya was impressed by Robert's passion when he talked about patient safety. He wasn't just selling software. He genuinely cared about improving healthcare outcomes. After the call, Robert invited Maya into his office. "How was your first day?" he asked. "Overwhelming, but in a good way," Maya answered honestly. "I had no idea your company did so much important work." "That's exactly the reaction I was hoping for," Robert said. "Maya, I didn't just offer you this job because you saved my life. I offered it because I believe you share our values. You proved that when you stopped to help a stranger on a busy street." Over the next few weeks, Maya threw herself into learning everything she could about the company. She arrived early each morning and stayed late to master new skills. Sarah taught her how to manage Robert's complex schedule, coordinate international meetings, and handle sensitive communications with clients and investors. Maya also discovered she had a natural talent for organization and problem-solving. When Robert mentioned that coordinating between the development team and the sales team was challenging, Maya created a simple tracking system that helped both departments stay informed about project timelines. "This is excellent work," Robert told her when she showed him the system. "Have you considered taking some business courses? I think you might have a talent for management." Maya had always been interested in learning, but she had never been able to afford college courses. "I'd love to learn more, but I'm still getting used to this job." "What if I told you the company has a tuition reimbursement program?" Robert asked. "We believe in investing in our employees' education." That conversation led to Maya enrolling in evening business classes at a nearby university. For the first time since high school, she was back in a classroom, and she loved every minute of it. Her professors were impressed by her practical insights, often shaped by her real-world experience working with people from all walks of life. Meanwhile, Maya's relationship with her colleagues at Chun Technologies continued to grow. She discovered that Robert had built a culture where everyone felt valued and supported. The company regularly donated to charities, especially those focused on healthcare and education in underserved communities. Robert believes that success means nothing if you don't use it to help others, explained Janet Wilson, the head of human resources. "That's why he was so impressed with what you did that day on the street. You embody the values he wants to see in this company." As Maya learned more about the business, she began to see opportunities for improvement. During one team meeting, she noticed that several clients had similar complaints about the user interface of their main software product. "What if we created a user feedback program?" Maya suggested during the meeting. "I could coordinate with customer service to identify common concerns and work with the development team to address them." The room went quiet for a moment, and Maya worried she had overstepped her boundaries. Then, David Torres, the head of product development, smiled. "That's a brilliant idea," he said. "We've been so focused on adding new features that we haven't been listening carefully enough to how people actually use our software." Robert was equally enthusiastic. "Maya, I want you to lead this initiative. You'll work directly with both the customer service and development teams." Maya's user feedback program became one of the most successful projects in the company's history. By systematically collecting and analyzing customer suggestions, The development team was able to make changes that significantly improved user satisfaction. Client renewal rates increased by 15% in just 6 months. Maya's success with the feedback program led to more responsibilities. Robert began including her in strategic planning meetings, where her insights from customer interactions proved valuable. She had a talent for understanding how real people would use the company's products. "You have something that can't be taught," Robert told her during one of their regular check-in meetings. "You understand people. You see things from the customer's perspective because you've been in their shoes." Maya's personal life was also improving dramatically. She was able to move her mother to a better nursing home facility with more advanced rehabilitation services. The additional therapy was helping her mother regain some of her speech and mobility. "I'm so proud of you, baby," her mother told her during one visit. Her words were clearer now, and she was able to sit up in her wheelchair for longer periods. Maya had also been able to move out of her cramped apartment into a nice one-bedroom place closer to downtown. For the first time in her adult life, she had money in savings and wasn't worried about unexpected expenses. But, perhaps most importantly, Maya was discovering talents and interests she never knew she had. Her business classes were going well, and her professors encouraged her to consider pursuing a degree in management or healthcare administration. "You have a unique combination of empathy and analytical thinking," her organizational behavior professor told her. "Have you thought about graduate school?" 6 months after starting at Chin Technologies, Maya received another surprise. Robert called her into his office on a Friday afternoon. "Maya, I've been watching your work closely, and I'm consistently impressed," he began. "The user feedback program has exceeded all expectations, and your insights during our strategic meetings have been valuable. I think it's time for a promotion." Maya felt her heart racing. "What kind of promotion?" "I want to create a new position for you, Director of Customer Experience. You'd be responsible for all aspects of how our clients interact with our company, from initial sales contact through ongoing support. It's a significant increase in responsibility, and it comes with a salary of $95,000 plus performance bonuses." Maya stared at Robert in amazement. In less than a year, she had gone from working 3 low-paying jobs to being offered a director-level position at a major company. "Robert, I don't have a college degree. Are you sure I'm qualified for this?" "Maya, qualifications aren't just about degrees. They're about ability, character, and results. You've proven all 3. Besides, you're working on your degree now. By the time you finish your business classes, you'll have both the education and the experience." Maya accepted the promotion, and the announcement was met with enthusiasm from her colleagues. They had all seen how hard she worked and how much she cared about the company's mission. Her new role required Maya to travel occasionally to visit clients and attend industry conferences. During her first trip to a hospital in Atlanta, she met with administrators who were implementing Chun Technologies software. "This system has revolutionized how we track patient information," explained Dr. Patricia Moore, the hospital's chief of staff. "We've reduced medication errors by 40% since implementing your software." Maya felt a deep sense of satisfaction knowing that her work was contributing to better patient outcomes. She thought about her mother's medical challenges and how important it was to have accurate, accessible healthcare information. At the industry conference in San Francisco, Maya was invited to speak on a panel about customer feedback and product improvement. She was nervous about speaking in front of hundreds of healthcare professionals, but her presentation was well received. "You have a gift for communicating complex ideas simply," said Dr. Jennifer Park, a hospital administrator from Seattle. "Have you considered writing articles about customer experience in healthcare technology?" That suggestion planted a seed in Maya's mind. She had always enjoyed writing, and she began contributing articles to industry publications about the importance of user-centered design in healthcare technology. As Maya's first year at Chin Technologies came to an end, she reflected on how dramatically her life had changed. She was no longer struggling to pay bills or worried about her mother's care. She had a career she was passionate about, was working toward a college degree, and was making a real difference in healthcare. But the biggest change was in how she saw herself. For years, Maya had felt invisible, just another person working multiple jobs to get by. Now she realized she had always had valuable skills and insights. She just needed the right opportunity to use them. Robert Chun had given her that opportunity, but Maya had done the hard work to make the most of it. She had studied, learned, and grown into a role she never could have imagined for herself. During her one-year anniversary celebration at the company, Robert gave a speech about Maya's contributions. "A year ago, Maya saved my life on a busy Chicago street," he said to the assembled employees. "But what I've learned since then is that her real talent isn't just helping people in emergencies. Her talent is seeing opportunities to improve things and having the courage to act on those insights." Maya felt tears in her eyes as her colleagues applauded. She thought of 2 years after that life-changing encounter on a Chicago street. Maya Washington had become one of the most respected employees at Chun Technologies. Her role as Director of Customer Experience had evolved beyond what anyone had initially imagined, and she was now overseeing a team of 12 people across 3 departments. Maya arrived at the office early on a Tuesday morning in March, as had become her habit. She enjoyed the quiet hours before the building filled with colleagues, using the time to review customer feedback reports and plan her day. Her corner office, which had seemed impossibly luxurious when she first started, now felt like a natural workspace where she could focus on improving the experiences of thousands of healthcare professionals who relied on their software. As she reviewed the quarterly customer satisfaction scores, Maya felt a familiar sense of pride. Under her leadership, customer retention had increased by 28%, and the company had received several industry awards for innovation in user experience design. More importantly, she knew that these improvements meant better outcomes for patients in hospitals around the world. Her morning was interrupted by a call from Sarah Kim, who had become both a mentor and a close friend over the past 2 years. "Maya, Robert needs to see you in his office," Sarah said. "He has something important to discuss." Maya gathered her reports and walked down the hallway to Robert's office, wondering what new project or challenge awaited her. Over the past year, Robert had increasingly sought her input on major strategic decisions, and Maya had learned to expect the unexpected from these meetings. Robert was standing at his window when Maya entered, looking out at the city skyline with an expression she couldn't quite read. "Good morning, Robert," Maya said, taking her usual seat across from his desk. Robert turned to face her, and Maya was surprised to see an unusual combination of excitement and nervousness in his expression. "Maya, I need to share something with you that will remain confidential until we make a formal announcement," Robert began. "Chun Technologies has been approached by Med Global Corporation about a potential merger." Maya felt her stomach tighten. Med Global was one of the largest healthcare technology companies in the world, known for acquiring smaller companies and often making significant changes to their operations. "What does that mean for us?" Maya asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "It means we have an opportunity to expand our impact globally," Robert replied. "Med Global has the resources and international reach to implement our software in thousands of additional hospitals. We could potentially save even more lives and improve healthcare outcomes on a scale we've never imagined." Maya could hear the enthusiasm in Robert's voice, but she also detected some uncertainty. "But you have concerns," she said. Robert nodded. "I'm worried about maintaining our company culture and values. Med Global is much larger and more corporate than we are. I'm concerned they might not understand what makes Chun Technologies special, the personal attention we give to clients, the way we listen to feedback, the family atmosphere we've built here." Maya understood his concerns. She had seen how other companies changed after mergers, often losing the qualities that made them successful in the first place. "What role would you play if the merger happens?" Maya asked. "I would remain as CEO of the Chun Technologies division, but I would report to Med Global's board of directors. The bigger question is what happens to employees like you who have been instrumental in our success." Robert paused, looking directly at Maya. "That's actually why I wanted to speak with you first. Med Global has specifically requested to meet with key members of our leadership team. They want to understand how we've achieved such high customer satisfaction and retention rates. Your name came up repeatedly in their due diligence process." Maya was surprised. "They want to meet with me? They've studied our customer feedback program and the improvements we've made to user experience under your leadership. They're impressed, Maya. Very impressed. Over the next 2 weeks, Maya found herself in a series of meetings with Med Global executives. She was initially intimidated by their corporate environment. Their headquarters in Boston was 3 times larger than Chin Technologies, with hundreds of employees and multiple divisions. But as Maya presented her work on customer experience and user feedback integration, she realized that her insights were valuable regardless of the company's size. The Med Global executives asked detailed questions about her methodologies and seemed genuinely interested in her approach to customer relations. "Your customer retention rates are extraordinary," said Elizabeth Harper, Med Global's chief operating officer. "We've been struggling to achieve similar results across our portfolio of products. How would you scale your approach to a larger organization?" Maya had prepared for this question, spending hours thinking about how her personal touch could be maintained even in a massive corporation. "I think the key is creating systems that preserve the human element," Maya explained. "Technology can help us gather and analyze feedback more efficiently, but the actual relationships with customers need to remain personal. We need to train teams to listen not just to what customers say, but to understand what they really need." After her presentation, Dr. Michael Chun, no relation to Robert, Med Global's chief technology officer, approached Maya privately. "We've been looking for someone to lead a new global customer experience division," he said. "Based on what we've seen of your work, you'd be our first choice for the position. It would involve overseeing customer experience for all of Med Global's products, not just the Chun Technologies division." Maya was stunned. The position would represent another massive leap in her career, but it would also mean leaving the company and the people who had given her this opportunity in the first place. That evening, Maya called her mother to discuss the situation. Her mother's health had continued to improve with the better medical care Maya could now afford, and she had become Maya's most trusted advisor. "Baby, what does your heart tell you?" her mother asked in her slowly improving speech. "I'm scared, Mama," Maya admitted. "What if I'm not ready for something this big? What if I fail?" "Maya, 2 years ago you were cleaning offices and working at a diner. Look where you are now. You didn't get here by accident. You got here by being brave enough to help someone when they needed it, and then by working harder than anyone else to prove yourself." Her mother's words gave Maya courage, but she still felt torn about potentially leaving Robert and Chin Technologies. The next morning, Maya asked for a private meeting with Robert to discuss the offer. "I heard about Med Global's offer," Robert said when she entered his office. "What are you thinking? I'm honored they would consider me, but I feel like I'd be abandoning you and everyone here," Maya replied honestly. Robert smiled. "Maya, do you remember what I told you when I first offered you this job? I said I wanted to give you the same kind of opportunities that others had given me." Maya nodded. "This is one of those opportunities. Leading customer experience for a global company would give you a chance to impact healthcare on a scale that's impossible here at Chin Technologies. Yes, I'll miss working with you directly, but I'll be incredibly proud to see you succeed at this level." Robert stood up and walked to his bookshelf, pulling out a framed photo of the Chun Technologies team from Maya's first company picnic. "Look at this picture," he said. "Look how nervous you appear, standing at the edge of the group. You weren't sure you belonged yet." Maya looked at the photo and remembered that day clearly. She had felt like an outsider, worried that her colleagues would discover she didn't have the same educational background they did. "Now look at yourself today," Robert continued. "You're confident, knowledgeable, and respected. You've earned your place at any table. The merger is going to happen regardless, and I'd rather have someone I trust helping to shape Med Global's approach to customer experience." Maya realized Robert was right. This was an opportunity to influence how a major corporation treated its customers and employees. She could potentially implement the values that made Chun Technologies special on a much larger scale. "If I accept the position, I want to propose something," Maya said. "I'd like to create a mentorship program that pairs experienced employees with newcomers, especially those from non-traditional backgrounds. I want to make sure Med Global creates the same kind of opportunities for others that you created for me." Robert's face lit up. "That's exactly the kind of thinking that will make you successful in this role. You're not just thinking about your own advancement. You're thinking about how to lift others up too." Maya accepted the position with Med Global, and the merger was announced 3 weeks later. The transition was smoother than anyone had expected, largely because Maya had worked with both teams to maintain the customer-focused culture that made Chin Technology successful. Her new role came with a significant salary increase. She was now earning $150,000 annually, with stock options and bonuses that could add substantially to her income. But, more importantly, she was overseeing customer experience for software used in over 200 hospitals across 15 countries. Maya's first major initiative was the mentorship program she had proposed to Robert. She partnered with human resources to identify high-potential employees from diverse backgrounds and paired them with senior executives who could guide their career development. The program was so successful that it caught the attention of Med Global's board of directors. Maya was invited to present the results at their quarterly meeting, where she shared stories of employees who had advanced rapidly through the mentorship program. One of our participants, James Rodriguez, started in our call center 2 years ago, Maya told the board. Through the mentorship program, he's now a product specialist working directly with hospital administrators to customize our software for their needs. His customer satisfaction scores are among the highest in the company. Board member Susan Mitchell raised her hand. Maya, this program seems to have benefits beyond individual career development. Are you seeing improvements in overall employee retention and performance? Absolutely, Maya replied, pulling up a slide with detailed metrics. Departments that participate in the mentorship program show 23% higher employee retention and 15% better customer satisfaction scores. When employees feel supported and see clear paths for advancement, they're more engaged with their work. After the presentation, Maya was approached by Dr. Patricia Williams, the chair of Med Global's board of directors. Maya, I've been following your work since you joined the company. Your approach to customer experience and employee development aligns perfectly with where we want to take Med Global. Have you considered pursuing an advanced degree in business administration? Maya had been thinking about graduate school, but she wasn't sure if she could balance the demands of her role with academic coursework. I've thought about it, but I'm concerned about managing the time commitment, Maya replied. What if I told you that Med Global has partnerships with several top-tier business schools for executive education programs? We could arrange for you to pursue an MBA while continuing in your current role. The company would cover all expenses, and you'd have the flexibility to attend classes around your work schedule. Maya felt the familiar excitement that came with new opportunities. An MBA from a prestigious business school would open doors she couldn't even imagine yet. I'd be very interested in learning more, Maya said. 6 months later, Maya was enrolled in the Executive MBA program at Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management. Her classmates included senior executives from Fortune 500 companies, successful entrepreneurs, and government officials from around the world. Initially, Maya felt the same imposter syndrome she had experienced when she first started at Chin Technologies. Many of her classmates had Ivy League undergraduate degrees and family connections in the business world. But Maya quickly discovered that her real-world experience and unique perspective were valued by both professors and fellow students. Her case study presentations, which often drew from her work in healthcare technology, became some of the most engaging in her classes. You have an unusual ability to connect business strategy with human impact, Professor David Kim told her after a particularly well-received presentation. Most executives struggle to see beyond quarterly earnings reports, but you understand how business decisions affect real people. Maya's MBA studies enhanced her effectiveness at work, giving her new frameworks for analyzing business challenges and communicating with senior executives. She began writing articles for Harvard Business Review and other publications, sharing insights about customer experience in the healthcare technology industry. Her growing reputation in the field led to speaking invitations at major conferences. Maya found herself presenting to audiences of hundreds of healthcare executives, sharing the lessons she had learned about putting customers first and creating cultures of continuous improvement. During one conference in London, Maya met Dr. Angela Thompson, the former head of digital transformation for the UK's National Health Service. I've been following your work, Dr. Thompson said after Maya's presentation. Your approach to customer experience could revolutionize how we think about healthcare technology implementation. Have you considered consulting for healthcare systems outside the United States? That conversation planted the seeds for Maya's next major initiative. She proposed to Med Global's leadership that they create an international consulting division focused on helping healthcare systems optimize their technology adoption. Healthcare systems around the world are struggling with the same challenges, Maya explained during her proposal presentation. They invest millions in new technology but often fail to achieve the expected improvements because they don't focus enough on user experience and change management. Elizabeth Harper, who had become one of Maya's strongest supporters, was immediately interested. What would this consulting division look like? We would send small teams of experts to work directly with healthcare systems for 6 to 12 months, Maya replied. We'd help them not just implement our software, but transform their entire approach to technology adoption. The goal would be to create sustainable improvements that continue long after our team leaves. 5 years after saving Robert Chen's life, Maya Washington found herself standing in front of the United Nations headquarters in New York City, preparing to address the Global Health Innovation Summit. As she looked up at the flags of member nations flying in the autumn breeze, Maya marveled at the journey that had brought her to this moment. She was now the founder and CEO of Washington Global Health Solutions, a consulting firm that specialized in helping healthcare systems in developing countries implement technology solutions that improved patient outcomes. Her company had grown to employ 43 people and had completed successful projects in over 20 countries. The invitation to speak at the UN had come after Maya's work in Kenya made international headlines. Her team had helped the Kenyan Ministry of Health implement a mobile health platform that connected rural clinics with specialists in Nairobi, reducing maternal mortality rates in remote areas by 35%. As Maya entered the impressive assembly hall, she thought about how different her life had become. Just that morning, she had received a call from her mother, who was now living independently in a beautiful assisted living community that Maya could afford thanks to her success. "I'm so proud of you, baby girl," her mother had said, her speech now almost completely recovered. "Your daddy would have been amazed to see what you've accomplished." Maya's presentation focused on technology as a bridge to healthcare equity, a topic that had become central to her life's work. She spoke about the projects her company had completed in Guatemala, where they had helped establish telemedicine connections between indigenous communities and urban medical centers, and in Bangladesh, where their mobile clinic management system had improved vaccination rates in rural areas by 60%. Technology alone cannot solve healthcare disparities, Maya told the assembled delegates and healthcare leaders. But when implemented thoughtfully, with deep attention to local needs and cultural context, technology can be a powerful tool for creating more equitable access to quality healthcare. After her presentation, Maya was approached by Dr. Amara Okafor, the Director of Health Innovation for the African Union. "Ms. Washington, your work in Kenya has been transformational," Dr. Okafor said. "We would like to discuss the possibility of expanding your approach across multiple African nations. Would you be interested in leading a continental healthcare technology initiative?" Maya felt the familiar thrill of a new challenge, but she had learned to carefully consider opportunities before jumping in. "I'd be very interested in learning more about what you have in mind. We're proposing a 5-year initiative to implement standardized healthcare technology platforms across 15 African countries," Dr. Okafor explained. "The goal would be to create interoperable systems that allow for better coordination of care and more efficient use of resources. We believe your approach to implementation would be perfect for this kind of large-scale project." Maya knew this was the kind of opportunity that could define her career and potentially impact millions of lives. But she also understood the complexity and responsibility that would come with such a massive undertaking. That evening, Maya called Robert Chen to discuss the opportunity. Despite their professional paths diverging, they had maintained a close friendship and continued to seek each other's advice on important decisions. "Maya, this sounds like exactly the kind of project you were born to lead," Robert said after she described the African Union proposal. "But I can hear some hesitation in your voice. What's concerning you?" "It's the scale," Maya replied honestly. "My company has been successful working with individual hospitals or small networks. This would be coordinating across multiple countries, different languages, various political systems. What if we're not ready for something this big?" Let me ask you something, Robert said. 5 years ago, could you have imagined yourself successfully consulting for the Kenyan government or speaking at the United Nations? Maya laughed. Definitely not. But you did those things because you were ready when the opportunities arose. You've built a team of experts, you've developed proven methodologies, and you have the experience to handle complex international projects. More importantly, you've never lost sight of why this work matters. Robert's words reminded Maya of something important. Her success hadn't come from avoiding risks, but from being brave enough to take on challenges that seemed impossible at first. Over the next several weeks, Maya worked with her team to develop a comprehensive proposal for the African Union Initiative. She insisted on including local healthcare professionals and technology experts from each participating country, ensuring that the solutions would be culturally appropriate and sustainable. Maya also proposed creating a training program that would educate local technicians to maintain and improve the systems after the initial implementation period ended. She had learned from her previous projects that long-term success required building local capacity, not just installing technology. The proposal was accepted, and Maya found herself leading the largest healthcare technology project of her career. The 5-year timeline would require her to spend significant time in Africa, coordinating with government officials, healthcare administrators, and technology vendors across 15 countries. Maya decided to open a regional office in Accra, Ghana, which would serve as the coordination center for the Continental Initiative. This meant relocating temporarily, but Maya saw it as an opportunity to deepen her understanding of the healthcare challenges facing African communities. The first year of the project was intense and sometimes frustrating. Maya discovered that each country had unique regulatory requirements, different levels of existing technology infrastructure, and varying degrees of government support for the initiative. In Nigeria, Maya's team had to navigate complex federal and state approval processes that delayed implementation by several months. In Ethiopia, they found that many rural health clinics lacked reliable electricity, requiring them to design solar-powered solutions for their technology platforms. But Maya also experienced incredible moments of breakthrough and success. In Rwanda, their mobile health platform helped connect traditional birth attendants with trained midwives, resulting in safer deliveries in rural communities. In Senegal, their pharmacy management system reduced medication shortages by 40% in the first 6 months of operation. Maya's proudest moment came during a visit to a clinic in rural Ghana, where she met with Dr. Kwame Asani, a physician who had been working in underserved communities for over 20 years. "This technology has changed everything for us," Dr. Asani told Maya as they toured the clinic. "We can now consult with specialists at the university hospital when we have complex cases. We can track patient outcomes and identify health trends in our community. Most importantly, we can provide better care to people who previously had limited access to quality health care." Maya watched as Dr. Asante used the tablet-based system to access a patient's medical history and consult with a cardiologist in Accra about treatment options. The seamless integration of technology with compassionate care represented exactly what Maya had envisioned when she started this work. As the African Union project progressed, Maya's company began receiving recognition from international organizations. She was named to Forbes' 40 Under 40 list and received the Global Health Innovation Award from the World Health Organization. But the recognition that meant the most to Maya came from an unexpected source. She received a letter from a young woman named Aisha in Kenya, whose mother had received life-saving care through one of the telemedicine connections Maya's team had established. "Dear Ms. Washington," the letter read, "I wanted to thank you for the work your company did in our region. My mother became very sick during harvest season, and our local clinic didn't know how to help her. But the doctor was able to use the computer system to talk to a specialist in Nairobi who diagnosed her condition and told our doctor how to treat it. My mother is healthy now and still farming. I am studying to become a nurse, and I hope someday I can help other families the way you helped mine." Maya kept that letter on her desk as a reminder of why her work mattered. Each technology platform, each training program, each policy recommendation had the potential to save lives and improve communities. Midway through the African Union project, Maya received another unexpected opportunity. Harvard Business School invited her to become a visiting professor, teaching a course on global health innovation and technology implementation. Maya was initially hesitant about taking on an academic role while leading such a demanding project, but her team encouraged her to accept the invitation. "You've learned so much about what works and what doesn't in global health technology," said Dr. Jennifer Martinez, Maya's director of operations. "Teaching would give you a chance to share those insights with the next generation of leaders. Plus, your students might come up with innovations that could improve our work." Maya accepted the teaching position and found that she loved the academic environment. Her students, who came from diverse backgrounds in business, medicine, and engineering, brought fresh perspectives to the challenges Maya faced in her consulting work. One of her students, David Park, a former software engineer who was pursuing an MBA, proposed using artificial intelligence to predict medication needs in rural clinics based on seasonal health patterns. Maya was so impressed with his idea that she invited him to join her team as a consultant on the African Union project. Another student, Dr. Maria Santos, had worked for Doctors Without Borders and suggested incorporating mental health support into the technology platforms Maya was implementing. This insight led to the development of a telemedicine mental health program that became one of the most successful aspects of the African initiative. Maya's experience as a professor also reinforced her belief in the importance of mentorship and creating opportunities for others. She established an internship program that brought students from Harvard and other universities to work on her company's international projects. As the African Union project entered its final year, the results exceeded everyone's expectations. Healthcare outcomes had improved significantly in participating countries, with reductions in infant mortality, better management of chronic diseases, and more efficient use of medical resources. Perhaps more importantly, the project had built lasting capacity in each country. Local technicians could now maintain and improve the systems independently, and many had gone on to start their own healthcare technology companies. The success of the African Union project led to new opportunities around the world. Maya's company was invited to lead similar initiatives in Southeast Asia and Latin America. She was also approached by several universities about establishing a permanent academic position focused on global health technology. 10 years had passed since Maya Washington knelt beside a stranger on a rainy Chicago sidewalk, and she now stood before an audience of 5,000 people at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. As the keynote speaker for the Global Health and Technology Summit, Maya was about to address world leaders, CEOs of multinational corporations, and philanthropists who collectively influenced billions of lives. Maya had come far from her days working multiple jobs just to survive. At 38 years old, she was now recognized as one of the world's leading experts in global health technology implementation. Her company, Washington Global Health Solutions, had expanded to employ over 200 people across 6 continents and had completed successful projects in more than 50 countries. "Ladies and gentlemen," Maya began, her voice carrying clearly across the packed auditorium. 10 years ago, I was cleaning offices and waiting tables to make ends meet. I had no idea that a single moment of choosing to help someone would fundamentally change not just my life, but the lives of millions of people around the world. Maya's speech focused on what she called the ripple effect of compassion, how individual acts of kindness could create waves of positive change that spread far beyond their original impact. She shared stories from her work around the globe, illustrating how technology, when implemented with genuine care for human welfare, could transform entire healthcare systems. In Madagascar, a mobile health platform we implemented has reduced child mortality rates by 42%, Maya told the audience. In Peru, our telemedicine network has brought specialist care to indigenous communities that had never before had access to advanced medical treatment. In Bangladesh, our maternal health monitoring system has helped save over 10,000 mothers and babies. As Maya spoke, she noticed familiar faces in the audience. Robert Chin sat in the front row, now serving as chairman of the Global Health Technology Alliance, a nonprofit organization he had founded with support from Maya's consulting work. Dr. Amara Okafor from the African Union was there, as were several of Maya's former Harvard students who had gone on to start their own healthcare technology companies. After her presentation, Maya was approached by Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the Director General of the World Health Organization. "Maya, your work over the past decade has been extraordinary," Dr. Rodriguez said. "We would like to discuss the possibility of you leading a new WHO initiative focused on healthcare technology equity in developing nations." This was the kind of opportunity Maya had dreamed of, a chance to influence global health policy at the highest levels. But, as she had learned over the years, every new opportunity required careful consideration of its potential impact and her capacity to execute it effectively. "I would be honored to learn more," Maya replied. "But I want to ensure that any initiative we develop truly serves the communities that need it most, not just the organizations implementing it." Dr. Rodriguez smiled. "That's exactly the kind of thinking we need. Your track record of community-centered implementation is precisely why we're interested in working with you." Later that evening, at a reception for summit participants, Maya found herself in conversation with several young entrepreneurs who were just starting their own healthcare technology companies. She was struck by how much they reminded her of herself a decade earlier: passionate, driven, but sometimes overwhelmed by the scale of the challenges they were trying to address. "The key is to start small, but think big," Maya advised a young woman named Priya Sharma, who was developing a maternal health app for use in rural India. "Focus on proving your concept in one community first. If you can demonstrate real impact on a small scale, scaling up becomes much more achievable." These conversations reminded Maya of how much her perspective on success had evolved. Early in her career, she had measured success primarily through her own advancement: salary increases, promotions, recognition. Now, she measured it through the ripple effects of her work. How many healthcare workers had been trained? How many communities had gained access to better care? How many young professionals had been mentored and supported? Maya's commitment to mentorship had become one of the defining aspects of her career. Her company's internship and fellowship programs had launched the careers of dozens of young professionals, many of whom were now leading their own organizations or working in senior roles at major healthcare institutions. One of her most successful mentors was James Rodriguez, the former call center employee who had benefited from Maya's first mentorship program at Med Global. James was now the director of international operations for a major healthcare NGO, overseeing programs in Central and South America. "Maya showed me that my background didn't limit my potential," James had said during a recent interview for Harvard Business Review. "She taught me that diverse experiences and perspectives are actually advantages in global health work, because they help you understand and connect with the communities you're trying to serve." As Maya's influence and reputation grew, she had also become increasingly involved in philanthropy and social impact investing. She served on the boards of several organizations focused on education and healthcare access, and had established the Washington Foundation for Global Health Innovation, which provided grants to emerging leaders from underserved communities. Maya's mother, now 75 and in excellent health, had become one of the foundation's most enthusiastic supporters. She frequently attended events and shared her perspective on how education and opportunity could transform lives. "My daughter learned early that success isn't just about what you achieve for yourself," her mother had said during a recent foundation gala. "It's about how you use your success to lift up others." That's what makes me most proud of what she's accomplished. Maya's personal life had also flourished during this period of professional success. 3 years earlier, she had married Dr. David Park, the former student who had joined her team and eventually became her chief technology officer. Their wedding had been a beautiful celebration attended by colleagues and friends from around the world, including many of the healthcare workers and community leaders Maya had worked with during her international projects. David understood Maya's passion for her work and fully supported her commitment to global travel and challenging projects. He had his own successful career developing artificial intelligence applications for healthcare, and together they had become one of the most influential couples in the global health technology field. Maya and David had recently purchased a home in Chicago, not far from the neighborhood where Maya had grown up. Despite their success, they had chosen to live modestly, preferring to direct their wealth toward their foundation and other philanthropic causes. The decision to return to Chicago had been intentional for Maya. She wanted to stay connected to her roots and to support the communities that had shaped her. She regularly spoke at local high schools and community colleges, sharing her story and encouraging young people to pursue their dreams regardless of their circumstances. During one such visit to her former high school in Englewood, Maya met with a group of students who were interested in healthcare careers. Many of them faced the same challenges she had encountered: financial constraints, family responsibilities, and limited access to educational opportunities. 10 years ago, I thought success meant having enough money to pay my bills and take care of my mother, Maya told the students. I never imagined I could have the kind of career I have now. But I learned that opportunities often come when you're focused on helping others, not just advancing yourself. One student, a 17-year-old named Marcus Williams, approached Maya after her presentation. "Ms. Washington, I want to become a doctor, but my family can't afford college," he said. "Sometimes I think I should just focus on getting a job after graduation to help my mom pay the bills." Maya saw herself in Marcus's situation. "What if I told you that there might be a way to do both? To help your family and still pursue your dreams?" That conversation led to Maya establishing a new scholarship program specifically for students from her old neighborhood. The program didn't just provide financial support for college. It also included mentorship, internship opportunities, and a pathway to careers in healthcare and technology. Marcus became the first recipient of the scholarship and was now thriving as a pre-med student at the University of Chicago. He regularly volunteered with Maya's foundation and had spent the previous summer working on a healthcare project in Guatemala. As Maya reflected on the first decade of her transformed life, she realized that her greatest satisfaction came from seeing others succeed. Whether it was a rural clinic in Kenya using technology to provide better patient care, a young professional from an underserved community launching their own healthcare startup, or a high school student pursuing their dreams despite financial obstacles, Maya found meaning in the ripple effects of her work. The invitation from the World Health Organization represented another opportunity to expand that impact. After several months of negotiations and planning, Maya accepted the position as Special Advisor for Healthcare Technology Equity, with the mandate to develop a global framework for ensuring that technological advances in healthcare benefited all communities, not just those in wealthy countries. The role required Maya to split her time between Geneva, where the WHO was headquartered, and field work in countries around the world. It was a demanding schedule, but Maya thrived on the challenge of working at the intersection of technology, policy, and community-level implementation. Her first major initiative in the WHO role was the development of Universal Health Technology Access Guidelines, a comprehensive framework that countries could use to ensure that healthcare technology implementations serve their most vulnerable populations. The guidelines drew heavily on Maya's decade of experience working in diverse cultural and economic contexts. They emphasized the importance of community engagement, local capacity building, and sustainable financing models that didn't create dependency on external support. During the guidelines development process, Maya convened a global advisory committee that included healthcare workers, technology experts, and community leaders from over 30 countries. She was particularly proud that half of the committee members were people she had worked with or mentored during her consulting career. "This is what real collaboration looks like," Maya said during the committee's final meeting in Geneva. "We're not just developing policies in an ivory tower. We're creating frameworks based on real-world experience and the insights of people who actually deliver healthcare in challenging environments." The guidelines were officially adopted by the WHO and endorsed by member countries around the world. They quickly became the gold standard for healthcare technology implementation and were translated into over 20 languages. As Maya approached her 40th birthday, she found herself thinking more about legacy and long-term impact. Her work had already touched millions of lives, but she wanted to ensure that the principles and approaches she had developed would continue to influence global health long after her active career ended. This thinking led to her next major project, the establishment of the Global Institute for Health Technology Innovation at Northwestern University, her alma mater. The institute would combine research, education, and practical implementation, training the next generation of leaders in community-centered healthcare technology. Maya would serve as the Institute's founding director while maintaining her role with the WHO and continuing to oversee her consulting company's work. It was an ambitious undertaking, but Maya had learned that the most meaningful projects were often the most challenging ones. The Institute's launch was attended by hundreds of healthcare leaders, technology executives, and government officials from around the world. Robert Chun gave the keynote address, reflecting on how a chance encounter had led to a friendship that had influenced both of their careers. 10 years ago, Maya saved my life on a Chicago street, Robert told the audience. But in the decades since then, she has saved countless other lives through her work around the world. This institute will ensure that her impact continues to grow for generations to come. As Maya listened to Robert's words, she thought about the young woman she had been that rainy day in October. That woman could never have imagined standing in a world-class university facility, surrounded by global leaders, preparing to launch an institute that would influence healthcare delivery around the world. But Maya also knew that her success hadn't come from that single moment of helping a stranger. It had come from the choices she had made every day since then, to work hard, to keep learning, to stay connected to her values, and to use every opportunity to lift others up. During her own remarks at the Institute's launch, Maya returned to the theme that had become central to her life's work. Success is not a destination, she told the audience. It's a responsibility. When we achieve success, we have an obligation to use it in service of something larger than ourselves. We have an obligation to create opportunities for others, to solve problems that affect the most vulnerable members of our global community, and to ensure that the benefits of human progress are shared by all. As the evening concluded and guests began to leave, Maya stood alone for a moment in the Institute's main hall, looking out at the Chicago skyline. She could see the downtown area where her journey had begun, where a moment of compassion had changed the trajectory of her life. Maya knew that her story was far from over. As she prepared to leave the university and return home to David and her mother, Maya felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought her to this point. She had learned that true success came not from what you achieved for yourself, but from what you made possible for others. The scared young woman who had rushed to help a stranger in distress had become a global leader, but she had never forgotten the lesson that started it all. When someone needs help, you stop and you help. Everything else, the career success, the recognition, the opportunity to influence change at the highest levels, was just the result of staying true to that simple principle. Maya's story had indeed come full circle, but it was also just beginning. The Institute would train thousands of future leaders. Her guidelines would influence healthcare policy around the world, and her example would inspire countless others to believe that their own acts of compassion could change everything. As Maya walked out into the Chicago night, she smiled, thinking about all the possibilities that lay ahead. 10 years ago, she had saved one man's life. Now, she was helping to build a world where technology could save millions of lives, where opportunities were available to people regardless of their backgrounds, and where acts of kindness could ripple outward to create waves of positive change. The transformation was complete, but the work was just beginning. But as Maya reflected on her journey, she realized that her greatest satisfaction came not from the recognition or financial success, but from the knowledge that her work was creating lasting change in communities around the world. During a return visit to Chicago, Maya had dinner with Robert Chun, who was now serving on the boards of several healthcare and educational nonprofits. As they sat in the same downtown area where their paths had first crossed, Maya thought about how much both of their lives had changed. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had walked past me that day?" Robert asked. Maya smiled. "I think about that sometimes. But I've learned that our lives are shaped by the choices we make every day, not just the dramatic moments. You didn't just save my life by offering me that job. You taught me that success means using whatever platform you have to lift others up. And you've certainly done that," Robert replied. "Do you realize how many people's lives have been changed by your work? Not just the patients who received better care, but the healthcare workers you've trained, the students you've taught, the team members you've mentored." As Maya looked around the bustling restaurant, filled with people pursuing their own dreams and facing their own challenges, she felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought her to this point. She had learned that one moment of choosing to help a stranger could indeed change everything. But only if you continued to make choices that honored that initial act of kindness. Maya's story was far from over. She had plans to expand her company's work to every continent, to establish a permanent institute for global health innovation, and to continue teaching the next generation of leaders. But she would always remember that it all started with a simple decision to stop and help someone who needed assistance on a rainy Chicago street. The scared young woman who had worried about losing her job at a diner had become a global leader. But Maya had never forgotten the values that guided her that day: compassion, courage, and the belief that everyone deserves a chance to succeed. Adoption. In Mumbai, she worked with a hospital serving over 100,000 patients annually, helping them implement electronic medical records that reduced patient wait times by 40%. In Sao Paulo, she helped a network of clinics improve their medication tracking systems, preventing dozens of potentially dangerous drug interactions. Maya's work was making a real difference in patient outcomes around the world, but perhaps more importantly, she was proving that business success and social impact could go hand in hand. As Maya approached her 4th year since that chance encounter with Robert Chen, she reflected on how far she had traveled, both literally and figuratively. She was now a recognized expert in her field, earning a salary that allowed her to support not just her mother but also to establish a scholarship fund for students from underserved communities. But Maya knew this was still not the end of her journey. With her MBA nearly complete and her reputation established, she was beginning to envision even bigger possibilities, perhaps starting her own consulting firm, or maybe even running for public office to advocate for healthcare reform. The scared young woman who had cleaned offices and waited tables seemed like a different person entirely. In her place was a confident leader who understood that success meant using your platform to lift others up, just as Robert Chen had lifted her up on that rainy day in Chicago, out that rainy day when she had rushed to help a stranger, never imagining it would lead to this moment. But as she looked around the room at the people who had become not just colleagues but friends, Maya realized this was still just the beginning. She had bigger dreams now, dreams of furthering her education, of taking on even more responsibility, and of using her success to help others the way Robert had helped her. The scared young woman who had worried about losing her job at the diner was gone. In her place was a confident professional who understood her worth and wasn't afraid to pursue her ambitions. Maya's journey from struggling to thriving was remarkable, but she sensed that even greater opportunities lay ahead. She had learned that one moment of kindness could change everything, and she was determined to pay that kindness forward in ways she was only beginning to imagine. Her kitchen table, about all the dreams she had put aside over the years. For the first time in as long as she could remember, she saw a path forward to something better. "Yes," she said quietly. "Yes, I would love to work here." Robert's smile grew even wider. "Excellent. Sarah will get you set up with everything you need. You can start on Monday." As Maya shook hands with Robert Chen, she realized that in one moment of choosing to help a stranger, she had changed the entire direction of her life. She didn't know it yet, but this was just the beginning of an amazing journey that would transform not only her own life, but the lives of countless others.